to another episode of the HR Growth Network podcast. It's always a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. I am.
I can see you're glowing.
I've had a really great week, and I'm just feeling super excited. Had some challenges in the week,
Ah,
and that's why I'm really grateful, Toyin, that we can dedicate the next two podcasts to a little bit of wellness, right? A little bit of
yeah.
just slow it down. But before we get into that, how are you doing? How was your week?
Week was great. As usual, you know how life is. You're constantly managing different balls at the same time. I call them speed bumps or speed humps. And you know that's happening. That's happening as you go on through life. How do you balance it? And that's why the next two topics are so perfect. How do we balance this with our professions, with ensuring that we're still able to maintain that form of balance. And I'm just itching to hear what you've got to say
Oh,
on this, Gwen.
and itching to hear what you have to say, Toyin. So thank you. Let's get straight into it. So today's listeners, Toyin and I just want to chat to you a little bit about breathe and be patient. We live in a really fast life where it's just expectations and like just things on the go all the time. And we've touched on it in previous podcasts a little bit, but today is just about breathe and be patient. So what is patience? So patience is the ability to wait calmly in the face of adversity, challenges, or frustration. So, I just think I have the privilege of being a little bit older. Do I have it right? Absolutely not all the time. But I've just felt that being mindful about patience, it actually does enhance your well-being in daily life, right? So I've got a couple of tips that I wanted to share that I've been trying to do that's really been useful. Um, and just some of those tips on breathe and being patient. Okay, so the first one is to practice mindfulness, and we've chatted a little bit about that previously. And I think it's important, Toy and you and I have been on this PQ, positive intelligence coaching course together. And I mean, there they really
Yes.
teach around, being mindful about what's happening. We go about, we get up, we get dressed, we shower, we brush our teeth, we just, but we don't actually stop to be
Go, go, go.
mindful. We don't
Yeah.
stop to be mindful about, and what is mindfulness? It's purely just being in the absolute present of breathing. It might be you're mindful about, and they use an example on this positive intelligence of brushing your teeth. So simple, but just feeling the bristles on your teeth, and just being mindful about that. Some people find mindfulness in breathing and walking, you know. And on breathing, we're going to chat about that in my next tip. So the next tip is about being patient and breathing is just let go of our should haves, because should haves create an impatience. So I should be doing this. I should have done that. I should have gone here. I should have gone there. Right, and that creates in your mind and in your subconscious this thing of I haven't done it, and that promotes impatience, right? So it's really just around changing the language of I'm going to get to go walk. I'm going to do that instead of I should have, I should have, I should have. So these are really just little tips of, Then the third one,
Yeah.
which is really good for me, is take deep breaths. So, Toyin, did you know that only 20% of the population actually breathe properly?
Wow.
According to stats, 80% of the population breathe incorrectly. We don't breathe
That's
properly, and
amazing, Gwen.
yeah, it is. And I mean, a lot of that is due to, so why do we breathe in correctly? Stats say that it's due to stress. It can be caused by depression, poor sleep, fatigue, anxiety, panic, an upset gut. There's a lot of reasons why we don't breathe
Wow.
properly, and I'm one of them. Sometimes, when you just feel like you're just not breathing properly.
Out of breath or something. Yeah.
And according to, the Navy SEALs, they've got a technique that I've been trying, and it really helps. The
Did
Navy,
you
this,
did you
the Navy SEALs has this technique called box breathing. And what it is, and I want the listeners to actually do it, right? Because so it's you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you let out for 4, and then you hold for 4. So let's just do it as fun. So let's all just breathe in for 4.
absolutely. So when you say
Okay,
40, do you mean like count to four?
so one, to breathe in 4.
I feel like I'm about to go out of breath. Honestly, I feel like I'm about to go out of breath. I didn't hold for four. I probably gave up at two.
So
So
it's
it will that.
so box
Oh,
box breathing. Breathe in for 4, you hold it for 4, you let go of it for 4, and then you hold it for 4. And they actually say that that helps with, in the Navy SEALs, they actually say that that helps with PSTD, you know. And I'm not saying that there's no one that can actually walk around and breathe like that all day. I mean, that's just impossible. But it's just when you have that mindfulness and, you might be going through something where you're feeling impatient or whatever. It's just, I've tried it, on the toilet. Just
I'm
sit
gonna
there and
try it.
it just helps slow you down, and it just somehow helps clear the brain because you're getting more oxygen into all the good parts, right? So I've got 3 more tips just quickly, Toyn, and then I really want to hear what your view on this. So the other one is
Patient.
be more self-compassionate, and that's towards yourself. I always
Mm.
think my biggest critic is me. So it's just
Yeah. God.
how do we show ourselves a little bit of slack, right? A little bit of self-compassion. And nothing wrong with giving yourself a good old hug and just, saying we're awesome. So
Yeah.
the last two is just, that's really helped, is just don't say you're fine if you're not. Recognize how you're feeling and just be true to that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not to say that we want to walk around all the time saying to people, oh, I'm so bad and oh, I'm so terrible, because we don't want to do that, right? Because people don't want to be around negative, unhappy people all the time. That's the truth.
True. Very
But
true.
it's finding this balance of, you know what, I'm not in a good space, and who can I reach out to as a coach or a confident or what your faith, whatever that looks like, that you can just get, you can just be authentic. And then the last
Yeah.
one is that I've had to do a lot. This is probably one of my top ones around breathe and be patient for me, is to adjust my expectations. It's it's
Mm.
it's really just that for me has been a light bulb moment of what I think should happen. Should you see the shoulds? It's
Yeah.
just adjusting that expectation. So Toyin, that is kind of my top tip for us
Yeah.
as us
Big
as us as women, us as HR professionals, because in the HR world we deal with a lot of conflict. I mean, if you're a generalist, you could be recruiting and firing and have trauma and grievance in one day. So there's just a lot that goes on, and I think it's important to breathe, be patient, and just recognize what you can do to, just support your wellness. So, Toyin, I've taken up most of the time, but I just really want to hear, how does this
I
fit with
I
you?
love your
What does breathe and be patient mean for you?
I love your point, and it's just a nice segue to where I'm gonna pick that from when we talk about what you do on the job. By way of your job as HR professionals, we are we could be exposed to some really harsh situations. Just a thought of, planning a redundancy or a right sizing, as we call it, um, handing someone a regret notice that they didn't get, shortlisted for further levels of interview, managing an underperforming employee who's probably underperforming because there are lots of external antecedents to that underperformance. So it's not primarily work related. It has to do with, what they're dealing with on the personal side, or working with a line manager that really needs to develop their leadership qualities and how abrasive, they've been. In those pockets of situations, HR people are exposed to a lot of varied circumstance that would really just, rob you. And if you did that. If on a Monday you dealt with a recruitment, you had to send a regret notice, or you had to fill the call from a candidate and you had to talk to the person about it. You're not behind the email, you're actually talking to the person about it. And then maybe on a Tuesday, you had to get into this line manager conversation you've been trying to manage with their leadership. And on Wednesday, you're with this underperforming employee. By Friday, you're going to be spent.
It's so
And this is
true.
just, this is work. This is the work you're being paid to do. This is the work you've been asked to show up to do. And you love the work. And that's the beautiful thing about HR people. I have met many HR people who are genuinely people person. They love the work. They enjoy what they do. And it's impossible when you enjoy your work not to carry on the burdens of your work. It's
Hmm.
highly difficult to be able to say, you know what, once I get to my doorstep, I switch that off and I put this on. It's really difficult. I mean, when you've been in the profession for close to 30 years now, so you know it too well. There are days when you come home and you really just want to sit in a chair quietly with a glass of wine. You don't want to talk to anyone. Not because the people at home have done anything, but because you're just in that space where you need to decompress. You need to take it off, and it's not a flick of a switch. You need time to decompress. And that's where I'm going to come in from, because we're really speaking to senior HR professionals and HR professionals all across the range of growth, and they get to deal with that. So the question is, how do you breathe and be patient? Then layer on top of that you're now a migrant in another country, in another cultural environment. You're trying to establish yourself. So you can see how that stacks up and how that would definitely impact on your mental well-being, on how you relate with people at home. Because when you're done smiling and you're done putting up that professional face, you need to come home and you feel like, what, that's it. I'm taking off my wig. If you're one of my wig wearing sisters, I'm taking off my wig, I'm taking off my shoes, I'm loosening my tie, and I just want to, plop back in my chair because I need to decompress. So how do you do that in a healthy way? I love the suggestions that you've given, Gwen. Perfect. It starts from expectations. And that's why I said it's a nice segue to what I'm going to talk about, your expectations of yourself in this season, in this sphere of your life, in this time. How are you managing that expectation? So I'll share a personal experience. I remember I used to wake up, and anytime I wake up, I feel like I'm late. It was crazy, Gwen. I would feel like I was late. Or like first, once my eyes open, the first thing that comes to mind, oh my God, I'm late. What am I supposed to be doing? It was so unhealthy. It was so unhealthy. And guess what? No one was putting that pressure on me. It was myself. It was all me. It was all me. Yeah, blame it on being a high achiever, blame it on being in a new environment, blame it on trying to manage all of this plate. But it was me. And when I got to that point when I understood that, you know what? Your career, the pace of it, the speed of it, the levels to it, they are all within your control. They're all within. I know there is a bit around societal expectations as well. So, for example, you and I, when we've held senior roles in Africa, and there's that societal expectations from our professional network that, oh, I expect by now, Gwen, you would be managing 3 countries or something like that. And if you allow people to project that on you, that's an added pressure to the pressure you already project, the pressure you're already putting yourself under. So how do you manage that? I've had to navigate that, and that's why I'm really happy to share on this podcast my personal experience of how I was able to navigate that. It was a lot of pressure, but that pressure was coming from me. It was coming from where I felt I should be, which dovetails very nicely with your statement, the should haves, what I should be doing, how I should have done it. By now, I should be. But that's not true. We've had people who have golden careers, they come back at 50, they come back at 55, and they're sailing. And that fundamental shift is what I want our listeners to go away with, along with the points that Gwen you graciously shared. That timeline is within your control. You're welcome. In fact, you're invited. You should write that story, change that narrative, rewrite it, erase it, start all over again. Whatever you need to do to prioritize your mental well-being first. Because when you're stressed, when you're unhappy, you're not going to be fun to be around. You're not going to be the mom you should be. And those roles are ongoing. So yes, you've left your home country. You've left your senior HR role. You're coming into this new space, but you're still a mom. You're still a wife. You're still a husband. You're still an uncle. You're still a brother. You're still all of those roles. And you need to show up in those roles the way you're meant to show up. We don't want 50% of you. We don't want 10% of you. We don't want the tired version of you. We want the version of you that is happy to contribute, to lead. You might not be leading in the office right now because of this change in circumstances, but you're still a leader in the home. And we need you to bring that energy. We need you to bring that mindset. And I know it's a lot. Gwen and I have been on this journey. It is a lot. So, what can help you? Be mindful. Be mindful of how you're feeling. Be able to speak to someone. I cannot overemphasize how important that is. Gwen and I have been support systems for each other. And we didn't need to be friends for 10,000 years. And I get it. I get it about some people saying, I want to protect my space. I want to put the boundaries in. I don't know this person. Well, guess what? Underneath that skin, that person is human. Talk to the human in that person. Stop trying to do it all by yourself. Stop trying to project the persona of your work in your private relationships. You need to have people you can let your head down with, people you can chill with, kick with, and say, you know what, today was the worst. I just want to cry. I just want to, I'm just going to watch a movie. I'm just going to, whatever it is you need to do in a healthy way to navigate those stressful situations, because those situations will come. Gwen, we weren't insulated from those situations. All of our experience did not insulate us from those situations. So when they come, who are you talking to? Who's your support system? Have you been a lone ranger? That's not going to work. That's not going to work anymore. You need to find your tribe. And guess what? In the HR Growth Network, you have a tribe. You have a tribe of people who are in the same journey, in the same mindset, going at the and understanding and navigating the same challenges you're navigating. So don't go at it alone. Don't go at it alone. Gwen and I have been so much support for each other. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I count her as a blessing. And I know she feels the same about me. Don't you, Gwen?
I do. I absolutely do, Toyin. And I just,
Wonderful.
I think for me, just in summary of closing this amazing podcast is really just there's only one of you, right? You know,
Yeah.
look after it. And Toyin, you said something now that just really, about your story. You are the director of your own story. You write the book. So, and
Absolutely.
that's quite, if you just take time to really think, it's quite a powerful statement. I am the director of my story. No one else. I am the director. There's going to be some good chapters in there. There's going to be some bad chapters. But you know what? I'm choosing to move on and step up. And the days that I need to have that cry and that glass of wine and that movie and that Netflix binge, I do it because it's part of my wellness. But so I
Absolutely.
really, Toyin, it's just love
Amazing.
chatting
Always.
to you. Thank you so much, and really
Thank
just
you
yeah,
so much.
thank you to you and your listeners. And I hope that Toyin and I have just brought you a little bit of hope and encouragement of you're not alone. We're all human. We're all made of the same mud ball. Just reach out and breathe and be patient.
Breathe and be patient. Thank you so much, Gwen. Till we come your way again next week, our dear listeners, that is us from the HR Growth Network saying bye for now. Bye.
Bye.